Welcome to today's Emunah Minute. In last week's parasha we read of the dramatic story of Yaakov Avinu taking the brachos, first taking them, then ultimately receiving them from his father Yitzchak. And the Torah introduces that section, introduces that story in the beginning of Perek Chav Zayin, chapter 27, and says as follows: Vayhi ki zokin Yitzchak. Yitzchak Avinu was old. Vatechahena einav miraos. Literally, his eyes became dim from seeing. He went blind. Vayikra es Esav b'no hagadol. He calls out to Esav. Vayomer elav b'ni, vayomer elav hineni. He calls out to Esav. Esav says, "Father, I'm here." And this is the beginning of the story. We know how the story unfolds. Yitzchak tells Esav, "I'd like to bless you. Bring me something to eat." Esav goes out. While he's gone, Yaakov comes in, gets the brachas, and as they say, the rest is history. And Rashi HaKadosh says, why is this the introduction? Why does the Torah introduce this story by telling us that Yitzchak Avinu became blind? And Rashi says something amazing. Rashi explains, Davar acher kedei sheyital Yaakov es habrachas. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu purposely made Yitzchak blind so that Yaakov should be able to take the brachas. Because remember, if Yitzchak had his sight, he would have realized that it was Yaakov. He would have never given him the brachas. Because remember again, Yitzchak stood ready to give Esav the Bechor, to give Esav the birthright, to give Esav the brachos. So therefore again, Rashi HaKadosh explains, Hashem made Yitzchak blind in order that Yaakov should be able to take the brachas. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh the Bracha, asks a simple question. He says, why do you have to make Yitzchak blind? Why didn't HaKadosh Baruch Hu just tell Yitzchak, you're wrong about Esav? Esav is a rasha. He's a wicked, evil man. He is not deserving of the Abrahamic blessings. He is not your heir apparent. Yitzchak, you're wrong. Let me tell you the truth about Esav. But says Rebbe, instead, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes Yitzchak blind so that Yaakov could take the brachas. Don't make him blind. Leave his sight intact and just tell him the truth about Esav. And the Rebbe says something so beautiful. Quotes you his words, V'yishlomar, Shelo ratza HaKadosh Baruch Hu ledaber lashon hara al Esav. The Rebbe says something so incredibly amazing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want to speak negatively about Esav. He didn't want to slander Esav. So instead of speaking ill of Esav, HaKadosh Baruch Hu instead chose to take Yitzchak Avinu's sight. And the Rebbe writes, V'hagei ba'atzmecha, im al Esav harasha nimna HaKadosh Baruch Hu miladaber Sarah. And says, Rebbe, think about this for just a moment. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want to speak negatively about Esav, even though he was Esav, alachas kama v'kama, sheish lisrachek biyoser mikol dibar shalashon hara al adam Yisrael. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu was so careful not to speak ill of Esav Harasha, then alachas kama v'kama, all the more so, how careful we have to be about how we speak about our fellow Jew. HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose to take Yitzchak Avinu's sight rather than speak negatively about Esav, even though Esav deserved it. It wasn't lashon hara, so to speak. It was the truth. It would have been necessary for Yitzchak to understand. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, no, I don't want to speak negatively. Better to take the sight of Yitzchak than it is to speak negatively about Esav. We live in a time where we have instant communication. And you could say whatever you want, whenever you want, about whomever you want. You could post it on Facebook, you could tweet it, you could WhatsApp it, you could text it, you could email it. I think some people sometimes still make phone calls as well. But there's so many ways of communication, which on one hand has many incredible and positive byproducts. The ability to disseminate Torah, the ability to disseminate messages of encouragement. But unfortunately, often what we see is that often these modes of mass communication used to hurt, to malign, to deconstruct another human being. And the Rebbe sensitizes us. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu is careful about how he spoke about Esav Harasha, then all the more so, we must take care, concern, and heed about how we talk about one another as well. Wishing everyone a wonderful day.